everyone, good morning. Alrighty, so just to get us started, a little bit of a brief overview. You guys should all have your lovely catalogs for this season. We're very excited because, as it says here in our front cover, this is our Tale 50th anniversary. So you will be seeing a lot of heritage pieces, a lot of, a nod to heritage, making sure that we're, alluding to that golf customer. Also, I sent you guys an email earlier this week, I believe it was on Tuesday, that had some supporting files for your reference today. So starting us off, we have a discrepancy list for this season, and we managed to keep it short. Our goal is to always make sure it stays one page or to not have it at all. Second file you have there is our fabric list. So these are fabrics to look forward to throughout the whole season overview. And here you'll see that all of our fabrics this season have UPF 50. So it does have that sun protection, that coverage that we're always looking for. Next you have this file. This one, I have to say, this is your Bible. This is definitely probably one of the most important ones to reference back to. Here you have kind of details of innovation, main points to kind of follow. So just a great overview of the whole season. So definitely one to keep around. And then that last file is also just a great reference for how we're going to be hanging our collection. So that first slide that we have starting us off, you have our color palette for this season. And then throughout the pages, you will see basically the layout you're going to be seeing today, how we're hanging up all of our garments. And you get to see it more as a collection versus in the workbook, you kind of see all the CADs a bit separately. So here you get to appreciate, how all the pieces work together. And in that same file, we also have something we like to call the mini merch. So this one is, honestly, it's great for those buyers that want to do small purchases. They don't really have to commit to too much. However, just having 4 pieces from our GR collection, as well as adding 4 pieces from any fashion group, can really give them a variety of groups without changing those core GR pieces. Annabelle, at the end of our presentation, will go ahead and do a run through of that, just so you get a better idea. And we're going to get started with our Better Than Basics. So if you could go ahead and open your catalogs to page 4 and 5, you get to see the wonderful introduction to this group, as well as our model shots. We did our catalog a little bit different this season. We wanted to make sure, it is our 50th, so we're trying to show off as much as we can. So here you kind of get to appreciate a bit more of the images throughout the catalog in this layout. And then if you shift over to page 6, that's where you'll see the lovely spread of all of our CADs for the season. So starting us off with our first sleeveless tops. So here we have our chalk and onyx core pieces that, we always implement solid pieces for our GR groups. However, again, we want to have that nod to heritage. So we are adding these fold over collar details, and just to give it a little bit more of elevation, a little bit more sophistication, we have this hidden placket zipper here. So definitely a very polished look. And also, we want to keep that 360 beauty that we all know and love. So you will see these side inserts here that are interrupted, so it won't have that traditional side seam. And then in the back, you get to see that nice, clean, sleek look, and you still have that fold over collar detail. So truly just a great core piece to have for those chalk and onyx sleeveless tops. Next up, we have our Panther Ombre. So this is an animal print, as we can see. However, we did want to make sure that we're always pushing the needle, even if we're doing animals and florals. They are still extremely popular in the northern US. So definitely we want to cater towards that customer. So here we're seeing this Panther Ombre print. It just has a great gradation here of that motif kind of trickling down. We did want to make sure that we have kind of a feminine touch to it too with our mandarin funnel here. So it's a nice, clean, and sleek look. And the style is very straightforward, making sure we're allowing that print to really shine. So we made sure to just trim it here in onyx at the armhole as well as the internal collar. And you will see that print in the back the same as in the front. One thing that we're always trying to keep in mind is making sure we're keeping up with regulations for our golf clubs. So we do have that cut and sew collar in the back, and it is in solid black just to give it a little bit more edge. So one thing I'm excited to present to you guys today is that our GR is not only chalk and onyx this season, we decided to bring in night as well, and you will be seeing that we do feature two prints that have all three essential colors, so chalk, onyx, and night. The reason for that is basically to make sure that you guys have that opportunity to merchandise those into every single fashion group. So there's really no excuse to not buy it, and they're all excellent pieces. So starting us off with this, this sleeveless that we have here, this is in night, and it's just such a great piece. We have a little bit of power mesh here along the shoulders just for an added detail, also functions for ventilation. We want to make sure that even our solids get that love for design, so we have these kind of details that you're seeing here that carry over to the armhole along the shoulders here. And we wanted to make sure we have just a little bit of detail of the collar as well, so here we're seeing a notch collar. However, the style lines also carry over to the back. You know, we can't just only design in the front. We got to make sure she looks great from all angles. So definitely just a great core piece to have. So this is one of the prints that I was speaking about. This is our Victory Wreath. So it is a more organic foliage feel. However, this is a night grounded print, and it has those chalk motifs. And if you look closely, the line work inside these motifs have onyx. So again, you can pair it back to any essential colors effortlessly. However, since the background is in night, we wanted to have night blocking participating in this one. So here we have these side blockings that we're seeing here. So again, we do have that slimming effect. It's done a little bit differently, but it's still very effective. And we also have this kind of V sweetheart collar, which is what we call it. Just a great feminine touch. And in the back, you know, nice, clean, sleek look, making sure we have that collar stand as well. Next up, this is one of my favorites. This is our Excellence print. And this print, we do have a night ground. However, we do see strokes of onyx as well as chalk. So it is just a great balance between all of our essential colors here. And it is a very dynamic yet still understandable and approachable print. One thing to note, the actual CAD has a slightly larger scale. So this is the correct scale that we're looking at here. Since the print does have, you know, a lot of colors and a lot of details, we wanted to make sure we add a bit of freshness to it, to the style. So we have these fold over band armhole bindings as well as just a little collar detail here along the top in chalk to add a bit of freshness and make sure, you know, she looks great with any essential bottoms, but I would definitely, my personal take, I would probably go for a chalk bottom just to make sure we keep all the fun to the top. And as we've heard from our sales reps, you guys are always telling us that you want more fashion in the short sleeves, making sure we're keeping in mind teams as well. Jeannie, we heard you. So here we're seeing an 8-inch sleeve in our Panther print. So again, this is just a perfect pairing when it comes to teams with our placement top, and you will be seeing it in a long sleeve as well. So this is a bit extra coverage compared to our standard 6.5-inch sleeve. So this is an 8-inch sleeve, so it just has a bit more. However, it really does sit in a very flattering way. One thing we also wanted to do is have a bit of an onyx pop along the collar just to give it a little bit more edge, more of an active feel. And we have shifted these side seams forward and added a bit of a vent detail here. Just, you know, a bit of a feminine touch, but honestly, just a great piece. And for our short sleeves, these are 10-inch sleeves. These are raglan sleeves. So they have such a great style line here. We make sure we're always trying to have a little bit of innovation, especially with our solid pieces. Another thing we want to do is also have a little bit of detail too, a little bit of a flare, if you will, even in our solids. So we have a little piping detail here that kind of frames our zipper as well. So just those little touches that truly elevate, your essential pieces. I mean, after all, this is better than basics. So definitely sticks to that message. And those are offered in chalk, onyx, and night as well. So this was the long sleeve that I was talking about. Again, such a great piece to have for team offerings. We do have the placement sleeveless, the short sleeve, the long sleeve, and a coordinating skirt. So definitely those teams can really mix and match and have fun with it. So here we wanted to keep it pretty straightforward with her long sleeve, really allowing that animal to speak for itself. However, we wanted to block the undersleeve here and the sides in onyx just to frame her a bit. Make sure she's having that 360 beauty, that slimming effect that she all knows and loves. So we also wanted to keep our cut and sew collar here just to make sure we're keeping to golf regulations. These here, they might look a little familiar to you. We brought it back from season 84. So these two tops here, these are in sleek touch jacquard. This is just such a honestly delicious texture. It's very lightweight, very breathable. However, it does really elevate the solids a little bit more than your traditional flat jersey. So you do have a little bit more of a fashion look, if you will. These just have wonderful seam lines along the chest and the shoulder here. And we do have some of that flat jersey, so some of that performance jersey featured in inserts along the top of the shoulder, carrying down to the chest, as well as the collar. But honestly, just such a great piece and amazing fabric. And for our night, we wanted to do a brand new long sleeve. So here we have our Mavy long sleeve. And again, just elevating our pieces, even if they're solid. So here we have this lovely long sleeve raglan top. So again, making sure we're modifying that seam line, add a bit of fashion even to our solids. And for our collars, we're always trying to push the needle a little bit more. So here we have a bit of a step collar, which is what we like to call it. It elongates the neckline and really gives us such a feminine touch. And we also have these power mesh inserts in the underarm, just for extra ventilation. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we are doing a nod to heritage. So this is our Farrah long sleeve. It's featuring that victory wreath that I previously showed you guys in a sleeveless top. Again, great opportunity for teams if this is another print that they want to go for. We do have it in a sleeveless as well as that this long sleeve that we're seeing here. And something that we wanted to bring in is that fold over collar detail. We are seeing an uprise in that trend in the market, so we want to make sure we're hitting those. And also we brought in these snaps. So it really does elevate the long sleeve altogether, gives it a very polished look. And here we have these side inserts that kind of widen at the bottom. So it does give her this great hourglass kind of figure that I know she'll love. But definitely, always trying to push the needle with our slimming effect and our 360 beauty. For our dresses, we have our Grecian bloom print here. And this one we've done before in Mykonos blue. However, as soon as we saw it in Mykonos, we knew we had to do it in chalk and onyx. It's just such a sharp, striking print. So it alludes to a zebra, however, it still has a floral take to it. So definitely is one of those prints that kind of checks multiple boxes. So it's something that, can kind of go in different fields when it comes to prints. And this one, we wanted to make sure it gives a very polished look. So we have these inserts that carry over from the top of the shoulder all the way down the side and down to the hem. And just friendly reminder, all of our dresses do have zip pockets and they do come with our shorties. Next up, this is our Adeline dress. So yes, we do have two dresses this season. However, this one is a 35-inch dress, so it is slightly shorter. I have to say, yes, our shorter skirts, 16-inch, might not be the most popular out there, but our 35-inch dress is honestly doing excellent for us. About 7 of our top-selling dresses online are 35-inch dresses, so it is definitely popular. I think it really does, it helps the petite customer as a person like myself, so definitely something to look forward to. And this one, we wanted to kind of elevate it, give it a little bit more detail. So you are seeing a short sleeve here. This is a 6.5 standard short sleeve, and we do have kind of that collar blocking here in night. We wanted to make sure we're kind of carrying that detail throughout the whole garment. So we have this cuff detail here, as well as side inserts that kind of end right before this lovely flounce insert that we're seeing here. So again, making sure we have that 360 beauty, that slimming effect, so she does have that hourglass look. For our skirts, for Better Than Basics, we haven't really done it in a while, but we thought this was such a great opportunity to do it again. So we are offering both night and onyx bottom options. So here we have our night skirt. This one is an 18-inch outseam, so it is our standard length. One thing we wanted to, kind of showcase here are these asymmetrical pleats. So just a little bit of fashion, a little bit, something a little different than one they can find in GX, which is our essential line. You know, the point of this group, again, as I mentioned, it's supposed to be better than basics, so we really try to push the needle when it comes to our fashion. So here you're seeing these asymmetrical pleats. We made sure to stitch them down just in case whenever she's playing or moving, you know, the pleats don't open at an unflattering area. And it has our standard 2.5-inch waistband, as well as zip pockets and shorties. This one here, this is Elithina. So this is a 17-inch outseam skirt. One thing to note for this season, we have not done 16-inch outseam skirts. The shortest length you will see this season is 17 inches. You know, we thought that was kind of the sweet spot between our standard 18, but 16 might be a little bit too short, so 17 is definitely, you know, the way to go for that petite customer that, you know, is looking for something more appropriate for her, yet still maintains that modesty that she's looking for. So we wanted to make sure we have this animal print kind of speak for itself. So we have this standard style that we're seeing here, 2.5-inch waistband with these shifted seams for the pockets, making sure that we don't have any unwanted seam lines. And then in the back, we have our traditional welt pockets and shorties as well. And that just creates gorgeous outfits with all of our panther print as well as our chalk and onyx solids. Here we have another 17-inch outseam skirt, and this one is in our Excellence print. Again, we want to make sure we have a very straightforward style, so making sure we allow that print to kind of put in the work. We have our standard 2.5-inch waistband, as well as zip pockets and welt pockets in the back. So just a great piece. This one goes back to all of our solids, including the night. For our solid onyx skirt, this is our archer skirt. Again, pushing the needle with that fashion. So we have this kind of clean front silhouette here, and we have these seam lines that kind of open up into a pleat in the bottom, just adding a bit of interest, a bit of that flirtiness to our skirts. And in the back, you see those style lines kind of carry over, making sure we have that cohesion throughout the whole style, both front and back. So honestly, just a very fun and flirty skirt. And last but not least, we have our Evie jogger. So you have seen Evie in onyx in previous seasons. We thought it was an amazing opportunity to bring her back in night. You know, this one does have a gathered waistband here, so it's perfect. It has that support that's needed. However, nothing too tight or too limiting. We have these hidden welt zipper pockets here. These wonderful seam lines that go from the back wrapping over to the front. And we have this elastic cuff that we're seeing here. You know, this is a good opportunity for women whenever they're changing, if they want to change and kind of slip this on with their shoes on. So in the back, you're kind of seeing this clean look with our welt pockets, and that seam that you saw to the front starts right around back here. And that concludes our GR group. So one thing I just want to remind you guys of, we did bring in these lovely colorways of our Sunny Vest. They were kind of a late ad for the previous season, so just as a friendly reminder, we had her in Onyx before. However, now we're offering her in that chalk that we see here, as well as in Night. So just a great piece if they want to merchandise it back into our GR as well as our any fashion group. So definitely just a great layering piece overall. So just a little friendly reminder for you guys. And in case you guys need to know what page that's on, it's 57. It's on page 57.
And those are available to ship now. So that's, again, an in-season selling opportunity.
So Jerry's just mentioning that these are available to order now. So definitely just a great opportunity. And now I will leave you guys with Annabelle, and she will be walking you guys through our GA group.
Hi everyone, so we're going to get started with our GA group, and as you can see on page 8 in your catalog, that's where we're going to start looking, followed by our model CADs on page 10 and 11, so you can see the beautiful color for GA. This group we're calling Rockette Cosmos for our December drop, and we're very excited about the color for this group, which is Azure Blue, a very fresh color, definitely a very classic golf color, and we're going to pair it back to Onyx and Chalk. So be sure to merchandise all of those essential bottoms and outerwear in Onyx and Chalk that coordinate with the beautiful prints in this group. So starting off with our first sleeveless, we have our Hetty, and this is in our Attilio Geo print, and as you can see, it has a great fashion color presence. So it's just a rounded Geo, really bringing emphasis to our fashion color this season. And what we wanted to do was really bring that elevated detail up to the top of the garment. As you can see, we have a faux halter neckline, and with a bit of a step collar down, so it creates a very flattering feminine neckline for the lady, and then just letting the print really speak for itself, keeping it a sleek and sophisticated style. Next up is our beautiful Flourishing Cosmos floral print. And what we wanted to mention was that this is one of PGA's favorite prints actually when we showed it to them. It has a lot of depth and dimension to it. As you can tell, there's a lot of different tones of that azure blue in here. So it definitely gives it a very active and fresh take. So it's a floral that we think will really do well within the market. And then just giving it that 360 beauty with some azure blue side inserts, popping it with a chalk trim to really emphasize the blocking that we're doing and giving that lady an hourglass figure. And then a mandarin funnel collar for a nice sleek look up to the top. This print being one of my favorites in the group personally. This is our placement print, Dancing Rockette. And what we did here was a new way of giving that slimming effect to our lady. And as you can tell, we've just really emphasized the fashion color along the waistline here. And you'll see just how beautifully all of these styles are on the model.
Next up, we have our Luxuriant Labyrinth group. This is our GB group. This color is Passion Pink. So if you turn over to page 14 and 15, you'll see that lovely introduction page and kind of these larger photos that we're seeing here of the garments. If you turn over to the next page, you'll see the lovely spread. You know, I'll say it over and over again. I truly love this layout. I think it's excellent. It gives us a good attention to detail when it comes to our garments. And then if you want to shift over to page 18 and 19, you'll see the wonderful spread of all of the CADs that are offered for this group. So starting us off really strong, we have our Echo Geo. So this Geo, it is a Geo that's very active, very dynamic, and we wanted to kind of allow that color, that passion pink, it's such a rich color. We wanted to really allow it to shine here. So we decided we wanted to do that as the ground for this print and have layering of onyx and chalk in different directions to allow for that dynamic, that very active feel. Again, since the print does have a lot of details to it, we want to make sure that it's sleek and clean. So we do have that funnel neck here, but we still have seam lines here along the shoulder just for added interest. And just to add a little bit of freshness as well, we have chalk binding along the armholes as well as that internal blocking too for the collar, just for that hanger appeal as well. Next up, this is our latent top, and this top is in our luxuriant foliage. This is one of those prints, as I mentioned in GR, that kind of checks different boxes. So it could read like a zebra, could read like a foliage, so you know it really does cater to different customers and different likings out there. So this one, we also wanted to allow that passion pink to really have a nice presence here. So we did do that as the ground, having those chalk and onyx motifs overlap in a very active, dynamic way. And we wanted to block it with that passion pink along the sides that we're seeing here. So it does have kind of that sharper end along the waist, just to really give it that hourglass figure, that slimming effect that we all know and love. And for this group, we are pushing the needle with our collar stand. So you will see this step collar detail here. It mimics the same look that we're seeing along the side inserts, making sure that we're having cohesion throughout the whole collection and the whole piece. This one that we're seeing here, this is our placement for the group. This is title gradient. And as you can see, it does have a gradient. One thing we kind of keep notes of during every sales meeting, we hear you guys that, you know, keeping a chalk area around the abdomen is probably not the most flattering for everyone. So we wanted to make sure we have that all over feel along the abdomen area. However, we do have a little bit of freshness, a little bit of breathing room at the top, and that beautiful gradient leading to the actual title geo all over that we're seeing here in the bottom. We wanted to make sure that our placement print is completely interrupted. So this is that clean, sleek funnel look that we're seeing here. And it carries over in the back, and always maintaining that cut and sew collar here, making sure we're meeting those golf regulations. For our solid sleeveless for this group, we want to always elevate, give a little bit of love even to our solid pieces, making sure we are doing that 360 beauty. We're adding more value proposition to our tops by doing this. So here you're going to be seeing a wonderful mandarin collar, straightforward, as well as with our traditional armhole binding. Where we push the needle here is where we're seeing this side insert, if you will. So it does create this shape that ends just a little bit below the waist. So still cinches her in, creates that slimming effect, that 360 beauty that she loves. And we have those inserts carried over all the way to the back as well, making sure we're focusing on the full round design and that cut and sew collar in the back. This one here, this is our labyrinth print. So honestly, just a great color balance between the passion pink and making sure we framed it with onyx to have that bit of edge, that bit of sportiness that, you know, our lady is always looking for. So again, great presence of that fashion color. However, framing it in that onyx and having the chalk ground gives a little bit of breathing room to the eye. One thing for this, we wanted to add a little bit more detail when it comes to the armhole versus our side blocking. So again, making sure each piece has different details and different design aspects that give a different look. So here we're seeing these armhole bands that come from a narrower top at the shoulder and kind of widens here along the underarm. So truly a flattering look. And then in the back, we have that same look at the armholes, but we did do a solid cut and sew collar in the back just to add a little bit of fashion to that back view. For our short sleeves, again, giving a little bit of love, a little bit more sleeve lengths, especially for you, Jeannie, we got you. Here we have an 8-inch raglan sleeve here. This one, I have to say, this is one of PJ's favorite prints throughout the season. This is our Cascading Ferns. It really is nothing like we've done before. We have that passion pink ground, again, really allowing that color to shine. And here we have these ferns that we're seeing here, this different type of leaves that have chalk and onyx, just a great balance between the actual fashion ground and these foliage motifs that are in the foreground. However, keeping in mind that it does have a lot of that fashion color, we wanted to pop the collar in that solid passion pink and have an underarm sleeve insert as well as on the sides for that slimming effect, that added 360 beauty that she knows and loves, as we're seeing here. And those inserts carry over to the back and that solid collar stand as well. So our labyrinth print, we do have it in a sleeveless and we have it in a short sleeve that we're seeing here. This is a cut and sew short sleeve, so it is a set-in sleeve. And here we're having an 8-inch sleeve, so just a bit more extra coverage than our usual 6.5 inch. We did want to do that blocking along the sides in passion pink. However, this blocking does end right before hitting the hem. So just a little bit below the waist, still gives her that hourglass figure that she's looking for, but we want to make sure we're always giving different details throughout all the pieces in this collection. And in the back, you will see those same details carried over, as well as the solid collar. For this group, we wanted to do something a little bit different. Instead of offering your typical 6.5 inch or 8-inch sleeve for our solid, we wanted to do a little bit more coverage. So here we're looking at a 12-inch sleeve, so it hits slightly above the elbow, so it's what we call our elbow sleeve, making sure we're not interrupting, our lady's swing as she's actually out there in the golf course. And here we're having this open collar, having that clean, sleek, feminine look. It truly is just a great look once you put it on. It just has such a flattering neckline, very feminine. And we have these raglan seam lines that carry over all the way to the collar. So again, just that added little detail to our pieces. And then an underarm panel here for added detail. And in the back, you get that same interest leading up to the armhole. And you have that cut and sew collar. Again, making sure we're always hitting those regulations. For our first long sleeve, this is Benton. And here we're seeing that step collar that I showed you in a sleeveless top, making sure we have that cohesion, that design detail thread the whole group together, making sure that it looks like a collection once it's all hung up. So here we have that Cascading Ferns print that I showed you previously. And we do have those inserts that mimic the collar as well, with this sharper edge along the waist, tapering out for the hem. And in the back, you will get that same look and that solid collar stand. So really just a fashion forward piece, but definitely one to look out for. For our second long sleeve, we have our Echo print. Since this print is very dynamic, we just want to let that print, kind of do the work. So we decided to keep a very sophisticated look here. However, we do have a little bit of a collar interest. This is a squared collar, so adding that bit of activeness to it. And we also have this underarm sleeve insert that ends in a gusset right below the underarm here. So truly just a great look. Definitely pairs back well with our Better Than Basic bottoms in onyx, as well as our essential bottoms in both chalk and onyx. For our skirts, this season we wanted to make sure we're also giving them a little bit more fashion, a little bit more detail. So for this one, as you can see, it's not the traditional 2.5 inch waistband, but this skirt really does have something different that we see in our elevation skirt. So it has that encased elastic at the top. Really has great support. It's not one of those that's gonna kind of fall over or fold over. So definitely just a great style overall. And this is featuring our luxuriant foliage here. And it has these inserts along the sides just for an added touch, an added flair to that flounce. And our traditional welt pockets in the back, and of course shorties. Next up here we have Elithina. This is featuring our title Geo print. And this print definitely is the best bottom to pair back to that placement top that I previously showed you. Here we're allowing that print to kind of shine so you get to appreciate all its beauty. We have the traditional 2.5-inch waistband. This is a 17-inch outseam score. So it still has that coverage, but it's very petite friendly. And we also have these zipper pockets, traditional welt pockets in the back, and of course our shorties. So as I mentioned, making sure we're doing different type of blockings and whatnot. Here we have this clean, sleek, no waistband skirt. This one is an 18-inch outseam, so it is our standard length. However, on the side, she does have a little bit of interest that we're seeing here. She has a bit of a pop of that passion pink, just to make sure she ties back beautifully to our tops. And then here we have our welt pockets in the back, traditional, as well as our shorties. So again, just a great piece to wear with any of our solids, whether that's the passion pink or even the chalk or onyx from our Better Than Basics. For our solid skirt, we wanted to mimic those style lines that you saw in the sleeveless top, kind of have that cohesion throughout the group, whether the lady wants to wear it a complete solid look or she still wants those seam lines separately. You do see it here in the skirt, so we have, instead of that traditional side blocking, we've kind of added these details that curve over to the back. And this is a clean front style and an 18-inch outseam. These seam lines, when they carry over to the back, we wanted to make sure it's not too overpowering, so it just goes straight horizontal here. So again, just a very sophisticated, clean look, yet very fashion forward for her. And we have those traditional welt pockets as well as shorties. For our dresses, this is a 36.5-inch dress. This one does have that step collar detail that I previously mentioned in other tops. Again, making sure we have that cohesion throughout the group, making sure we have that design detail carried over all around the collection. However, the blocking for this one is truly something to admire. We decided to not interrupt it at all. So we have it coming from the shoulder all the way down the sides to the hem. This one does have a traditional side seam. However, it gives that effortless kind of sleek look when it comes to our blocking. And again, friendly reminder, all of our dresses do come with zip pockets and shorties. And you will see that cohesion, that appreciation for that insert in the back as well. And this one here, this is one of our favorites in-house. This is our title Geo print. Again, we're always looking to push the needle, give you guys more fashion, something that's really not out there in the market, and definitely this is the piece for it. So here we're seeing a 35-inch dress. We wanted to keep the collar nice and simple with our mandarin funnel here. However, something different we did is our side inserts. So here we do have that slimming effect, but it is done a little bit different than usual. It doesn't really reach to the side. The side has a printed panel here. So in the front and in the back, which I'll show you shortly, you will see that slimming effect, really truly snatching her in, making sure she looks, she has that hourglass figure that we all wanna have. So definitely just such a great piece all around. And that concludes our GB group. Thank you guys.
Okay, next up we have our GC group for our February drop that we're calling Palm Blooms. And you can see this on pages 20 and 21 where the cover is, followed by 22 and 23 with our model shots. And you'll see just how beautifully all of these styles are on the model. And let's start off with our first sleeveless. So this is featuring our triumphant Geo print. The color for this group is Victoria Blue. So it's a nice rich color, very sophisticated and mature. And you're gonna see how we block this throughout the group with onyx and chalk. So make sure you're merchandising those essential bottoms and outerwear into this group. So as you can see, this geo here has a lot of breathability and airiness to it with that chalk ground, and still popping it with those strokes in onyx to make sure it merchandises as well with onyx. And of course with our fashion solid bottoms. So here you can see we've blocked it on the side with Victoria Blue inserts. So just calling attention to new details that we're doing. The way we did these inserts is something very new. We're framing the armhole here and then going down to about waist level, and then just bringing that beauty around to the back as well. So as you can see, we're framing the body in a new way, attention to detail, and just doing things different ways. And then back in the front, the way we've done this neckline is something also very novel for us. We've squared off the collar, giving it a very fresh look, something very sophisticated for a lady, and makes a great outfit when paired with the coordinating bottoms. Our solid sleeveless for this group we're calling Kyra. Again, a nod to heritage here. You can see we have that fold over collar, but really elevating our solids. We're doing a framed placket around the center front zipper, and then just carrying that detail of, something fun and flirty to the bottom of the style. We do have vents at the side seams, so we wanted to do something sleek and sophisticated, but make sure it's a fun piece that you can pair back with all of your printed skirts for the group. Next up is our Ava Ray, and we're really excited about this floral because, we wanted to make sure that our florals are reading very active and very sporty for the golf course. And so what we did here was one of our print designers actually made this beautiful print with a background in a geo here. So you'll notice if you look closely at your sample that there's actually hexagons in the background. And we've tied that together with another print in the group to keep that cohesion. So you'll see how the hexagons sort of tie in throughout the group. And then just this beautiful floral up top, really bringing importance to the fashion color in this group. And framing with some chalk trim details. This is gonna be a standard mock neck height, but it's new for us because we're doing a notch at the front. So it's something very novel and also very sophisticated. It's gonna make just really a lot of attention to detail at the top of this style. And as you can see, we're popping that freshness at the armhole binding as well. Next up is going to be in our Spheria print. And so for this group, you'll see that we have a color block of this print, and we also have an all-over version, which is a great merchandising opportunity, especially for teams. And we want to do a color block to make sure we're bringing that freshness, different ways to style your outfits, and sort of break up that dress look with the all-over skirt. And as you can see, chalk body, but then bringing in that print at the side seam. This is a great 360 beauty style. You can see we've done a narrower insert at the top and wider towards the bottom. So from the front, it's creating a very flattering effect on the wearer. And then matching that print blocking at the shoulder and trimming the collar in the solid Victoria Blue, which carries over to the back, and matching that blocking along the armhole binding. This is going to be that print that I was mentioning earlier. It was sort of in the background of that floral print that was really beautiful. And here we've just brought the hexagons to the foreground in our new geo print. And as you can see, the center of the motif does have that Victoria Blue and is just framed in an onyx stroke. So keeping that geo very sporty, very active, and we're going to just elevate it with these onyx side inserts. So it'll form a great outfit with onyx bottoms as well as Victoria Blue. And then coordinating that slimming effect here throughout the group, you'll see it's wider towards the top and narrower towards the bottom, creates a great slimming effect. And then matching that blocking at the collar. It's a mandarin style collar with the piping detail that goes down the center front zipper. This is a print I personally am really excited about. This is our Palm Bay print. And so what we love about this, it's kind of a hybrid. Is it a foliage? Is it a geo? It's something very new and very fresh that we haven't seen before, and a lot of presence of that fashion color. So it's really just bringing emphasis to the beauty of the color in this group, Victoria Blue. We are grounding it in chalk and then just with a bit of an onyx shadow behind. So it has a great presence, and then another nod to that heritage look for our classic golf lady with our fold over collar and that placket around the center front zipper detail. And for our all-over version of the Spheria print, this is what I was mentioning will make a great teams sort of collection, great merchandising opportunities. This, when paired back with the all-over skirt, will make a dress look. And then you're just blocking it with that Victoria blue side insert. And as you can see, again, narrower towards the top, wider towards the bottom, just different ways that we're doing our blocking. So we're really calling attention to that. And then this is going to be a 6.5 inch standard sleeve length with a raglan seam. And that raglan seam goes into a novelty neckline. As you can see, we've sort of squared off the edge of that standard collar and blocked it in the coordinating Victoria blue. Another print that we're very excited about for this season is our Jagrid print. So while it reads as an animal, it also has a very geo nature to it. It's very organized, it's not too typical animals. So we're definitely moving away from that and finding new ways we can do active animals for you guys. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we're moving away from doing all those black and white prints in fashion groups. So as you can see, it may read from far away as black and white, but there's definitely pops of Victoria blue in here, so making sure it has a reason to be. And then just framing this print in onyx side inserts, making it very sophisticated, and then coordinating that blocking at the collar, which is a Mandarin collar, again with our piping detail. So if you notice, there's a lot of cohesion in the details throughout the group. Bringing back that Marcella Geo, the beautiful hexagon print that's in the background of that floral. And here just really bringing the print to the foreground. We're framing it in the Victoria blue inserts. And this is something also very new for us and very fresh. As you can tell, we've taken this framing up along the raglan seam into the neckline, which we feel like creates a very uplifting and flattering look on the body. And as you can see, the insert goes from the undersleeve into the side insert as well. And then the look just carries over to the back, so making sure it looks good from all angles when you're playing on the course. And as Ashley mentioned earlier, we want to make sure we're bringing you those solids in different color, in different styles. So, in the past we've done our short sleeves in solids, and now we're doing elbow sleeves as well as long sleeves. So for this group, we do have our Victoria blue performance jersey in a long sleeve. And here, just elevating the seam lines on this and really framing the body to make sure that there's a reason to buy those longer sleeve length solids that pair back wonderfully with the skirts. And as you can see, we do have a notched collar detail. As I mentioned before, it's very flattering on the wearer. Bringing in that beautiful floral for our skirts to create coordinating looks. This is our Alethea skirt. And as you can see, we framed the outside of the skirt in chalk trim, so doing something very fresh. And if the wearer wants to tuck in the top or wear it out, it creates a very different look because we framed the waistband in chalk, as opposed to we usually do our waistbands in the print as well. And then just giving it that 360 beauty, because from the side view, it really looks amazing how you can see that chalk trim going into that little slit towards the hem. So it's a flirty look, but it's definitely still very modest and age appropriate for our lady. And then coordinating the back pocket while it's also in chalk. And this one actually has, sorry if you just flip it forward, open pockets. So where we normally do our invisible zipper pockets or exposed zipper pockets, here we're doing something new. It definitely still stays, on the wearer in place. We've worn this on the model and it looks great, but it's just another different functionality detail we're adding. Then featuring our Spheria print in a skirt. This is Tokiko. And we wanted to create those coordinating looks, but do something different. So this is going to be a flounce shape. So as opposed to our typical A-line, this definitely has a lot of movement and action. When you're playing on the golf course and you swing, there's going to be a lot of movement here. And really letting the print speak for itself. It has a bit of a wider waistband here just to elevate those details. And our invisible zipper pockets in the front. And then our welt pockets in the back. And of course, it does come with shorties. And then an 18-inch score, we're actually offering this style in two different prints, print and solid for this group because we really liked it. So first up, we're seeing it in that Palm Bay print, which is so wonderful. It's very unique and one of a kind, so we think the lady's definitely gonna go for this one. And then we're just popping the sides with a chalk insert. And something I wanna point out is that the skirt length is 18 inches, while on the side it does have a step up. So it's kind of a nice little flirty detail and gives it the effect of a shorter skirt, but still keeping it modest, not too revealing. But if you have a customer who's interested in that look of a shorter skirt, this is definitely a great option for her. And then we're seeing that Eliana 18-inch skirt. Again, this time in a solid. We thought it was such a great silhouette, and we wanted to make sure we offered it in both a print and a solid for the lady. So as you can see, again, this is that 18-inch outseam, but then at the side, we're just gonna come up. It's about 2-inch step here. So from the side view, it just looks great. Again, focusing on 360 beauty throughout the whole season because it's so important to us. And then with those standard back pocket welts and the shorties, of course. We're also very excited about our dress offerings for this group. We wanted to make sure that every single lady has an option here. So there's really no excuse to not buy a dress for this group. We are offering 3. So this is gonna be the first one in our Spharia print, and we're blocking it with the Victoria blue on the sides. So really bringing the presence to that color. And then bringing back that collar that we saw previously in our sleeveless style. This is the mock neck height with a notch in the front, and we're framing it with the Victoria blue all around the center front zipper and also in the shoulder inserts. So we're stepping it up with our details, making sure we're doing something new for every group, and then keeping the cohesion throughout the details. Of course, it does have invisible zipper pockets, and they all come with shorties. And then for our standard length dress, this is a 36.5-inch length dress. And this is a great option for on and off the course, featuring that beautiful Cicely Blooms print. And this is such a special style because it does have a very fashion-forward nod to it. So as you can see, there's a faux overlap here. It's stitched down so you won't have any problems when you're playing on the course as far as it possibly coming up. It's stitched in place, but it still has the effect of an overlap, as you can see with this chalk trim, and then also framed along the hem. But making sure it's still very sleek and sophisticated. As you can see at the top, we actually gave it a narrower mini mock height. So something new also for us, a novelty collar that we're doing, and then matching that trim at the armhole. And our last dress for the group is our Indie. This is at a 35-inch length, so on the shorter end, but still, of course, as I mentioned before, this is a great length for your lady. Doing something different from the other 2 dresses, we're blocking with onyx at the sides. And this is that jagrid print, so it's the hybrid between an animal and a geo, and really reads very well and sophisticated, especially when it comes to the collar for this dress. As you can see, another nod to heritage with our fold-over collar. But what we're doing here is giving it a zipperless neckline. So it forms an open, popping it with that chalk piping detail. Very sophisticated and very refined look for the lady, but still very fresh and new and something she'll definitely want in her closet. And that concludes our beautiful Palm Blooms GC group.